You may already know that there's going to be a lunar eclipse on January 20th, 2019. Unless, of course, you're watching this from the future, and then it already happened. But this is going to be the first good lunar eclipse we've had in a few years, and it will be visible for most of North America. The last total eclipse for us here in New Jersey was back in September 2015, and I believe that one was clouded out pretty good, so we didn't get to see very much. So if you look at the table here of previous eclipses, you'll see that there were two in 2014, but they were only partial eclipses in New Jersey. And then we're going all the way back to 2010 for the last total eclipse that we had. So even though a lunar eclipse of some variety occurs on the Earth anywhere from 2 to 5 times a year, getting a total eclipse at your location and having good weather for it is something special. Alright, so looking through this chart, you may be wondering what the heck is penumbral versus partial versus total. So let's go ahead and break that down. The first thing we need to know is, what is a lunar eclipse? I'm sure many of you already know this, but let's have a quick refresher. Lunar eclipse occurs when the moon moves through the Earth's shadow. That's why the moon gets darker. Simple, right? But shadows are complex. Since the sun and the Earth both have widths, meaning they're not a single point as viewed from each other, they cast different types of shadows. This diagram shows what we mean. The yellow lines represent paths of light from each edge of the sun. You see that light coming from the left side of the sun, passing the right side of the Earth, casts a large shadow, but the light coming from the right side of the sun makes it past to that same area. This creates a fuzzy partial shadow, and that's the penumbra. The umbra is the full shadow of the Earth, where no sunlight, no matter which side of the sun it came from, can make it past the Earth. So a penumbral eclipse is when the moon only passes through the penumbra, and it never enters the umbra. Penumbral eclipses are pretty subtle, and you probably would not even notice the difference in brightness if you weren't paying very close attention. A partial eclipse is when the moon is partly in the umbra and partly in the penumbra. It's possible for it to never fully enter the umbra, which would make it a partial eclipse everywhere in the eclipse path. It can also set or rise from your location before fully entering the umbra, which means you would only see a partial eclipse, but other places on the Earth may see a total eclipse. A total eclipse, obviously, is when the moon goes straight through the umbra and fully enters it. Every total eclipse starts as a penumbral eclipse, then a partial eclipse, before becoming a total eclipse. Now, most of the time, the moon doesn't go straight through the center of the umbral circle, and that's why it often appears brighter on one side than the other, even during the total portion of the eclipse. Alright, now that we know what a lunar eclipse is, let's talk about this particular eclipse. The eclipse that we came here to talk about happens on the evening of Sunday, January 20th, 2019. Like I said before, if you are watching this from the future, this has already happened. Sorry, maybe go find some pictures of it. But for everyone else here in the present, here's what to expect. We'll pop into Stellarium, which is an excellent, completely free planetarium program where we can see a simulation of the entire eclipse. We start out on January 20th around 9:30 p.m., looking between east and southeast, high in the sky, and there's the full moon. The penumbral part of the eclipse starts at 9:36 p.m., but like I said earlier, the penumbral part is pretty boring. It takes almost an hour to get exciting, and at 10:33, the moon begins to enter the umbral shadow. Remember, this means the partial eclipse is starting. Here you will see the moon start to disappear into shadow, and over an hour later, we arrive at the main event, total eclipse begins at 11:41 p.m. There will be a sharp drop in brightness, and the moon, now lit only by the refracted light of the Earth's atmosphere, takes on a reddish hue. Total eclipse lasts for 62 minutes, with maximum eclipse occurring 12 past midnight on the 21st, and now we're facing due south. Another 30-ish minutes later, at 12:43, we go back into partial eclipse, and we stay in partial eclipse until 1:50 a.m. From there, we go back into the penumbral eclipse, which continues until 2:48 a.m., but let's face it, it's already way past bedtime, and the penumbral phase of the eclipse is not really that exciting. So let's go through the timing one more time with a zoomed in shot of the moon here in Stellarium. Eclipse begins at 9:36 p.m. We move to a partial eclipse at 10:33 p.m. Total eclipse begins at 11:41 p.m. Maximum eclipse at 12:12 a.m. Total eclipse ends at 12:43 a.m. The partial eclipse ends at 1:50 a.m. And the penumbral eclipse and the eclipse as a whole ends at 2:48 a.m. on January 21st. So, where is the best place to view it from? The best place really is anywhere that's convenient for you. It is a late night event on a Sunday night, but Monday is a holiday. Many people might have off. You will need a good southern view of the sky. If you're not sure which direction that is, that's the direction the sun is midday. But most of all, you'll need clear skies. That's the biggest factor, and unfortunately it's the most difficult to control. If you don't have your own good location, the Sheep Hill Observatory in Boonton, New Jersey is hosting a viewing party. We'll be open from 9:30 p.m. until 2 a.m. Bring your lawn chair, dress warmly, pick a spot on our lawn, and enjoy the spectacle with us. We hope to see you there, but if not, we do hope that you get a chance to view the eclipse wherever you are. Check us out on Facebook for all the details on the viewing party, and make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and all that good stuff. We'll see you on the 20th, and until then, clear skies.